Thanks for having me, Albert. Appreciate it.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself first and what you might be hiring for and how you kind of view your perspective on resumes. And then we can
Sure,
definitely hop into doing some reviews.
sure. Uh, First of all, I just want to say thanks, Albert, for hosting this event, and thank you all if you're participating out there. I think live events like this are fantastic. It's great to be interactive. It gets you focused. It gets you to a point where other people are dealing with some of the same challenges with their resumes and their pursuit in terms of their careers and their jobs. So, hats off to all of you for participating. A little bit about me. Um, let's see, I'm a career consultant, I'm a talent acquisition professional. My company, the Widroe Group, we do most of our work in California, really throughout the Central Coast, but on up to the Bay Area. I'm from the East Bay originally, also into SoCal and down to San Diego. We've been at it since 1998. Let's see, I'm really an organizational consultant. So I work in software. I work in with professional services, so that's healthcare, finance. Let's see, like I said, software engineering, just a variety of different fields. And I think we have a lot of success. Our clients trust us to connect them with people who not only are talented in what they do, but they have great work attitudes, great work ethics, and they're productive, happy people. We really focus on kind of the whole employee. We really try to get longevity so that our clients come back to us over and over again because we don't want a lot of workplace drama. And and then we really help candidates. So whether or not we place you or I place you anywhere, I make myself available as just giving back to the community, just like Albert does. I am available to offer. You don't have to employ me for career counseling, though some people want to. But I'm always available by a call, an email, a LinkedIn, to help you kind of get your head around what you're trying to accomplish. So I'm available to do that. Currently, we're searching for healthcare professionals, uh, legal services, everything from paralegals to lawyers, CPAs, really bookkeepers and CPAs, management professionals, so mid-level management on up to senior, just a whole variety of positions. We've got a lot of clients. I know, Albert, you talked about the economy, through COVID has struggled a bit, and some industries have been hammered, much worse than others, but there's still an economy that's going on. There's still a lot of opportunity. There's still lots of people making money and doing things and taking chances, and people up there in Silicon Valley investing. And honestly, the demand for talent never stops. So, just if you can get you all in the mindset that opportunity is out there, it's a plenty. You just have to put yourself in the position where people look at your resumes and they get who you are from the moment that they take a look. Within the 19-second average that most people spend looking at a resume, they need to be able to tell who you are and what you're about. So that's my introduction, Albert. I hope that's helpful.
It is very helpful. And so with many of our folks here working in areas like marketing or creative, data analytics, um, product management,
Yep.
are any of your clients looking to fill those roles as well?
Absolutely. So marketing is huge. There's a big demand in PR and marketing, just anything. Look, it's so competitive. The world of product, especially technical product, is powerful. And yeah, so product management, marketing, data analytics, people trying to understand the effectiveness of their product. One of my clients is a big data company in healthcare technology, and it's just booming. It's kind of doubled in the last 2 or 3 years in size, and they're looking for all kinds of folks like that. So yeah, Albert, answer is, we do a lot of different stuff, but whether it's software as a service or where it sounds like you're talking about in product marketing, we do a lot of that. So there's opportunity afoot.
That is good to hear. That is good to hear. So let's you down to do some resumes.
Sure.
All right, wonderful. So you and I saw some resumes yesterday, and we're going to see a couple of new resumes today. I'm going to start today with Roshan's. He said that he wanted to take a look at this resume. get his resume reviewed earlier because he was leaving at the bottom of the hour. So I thought we'd
Okay.
do a little bit of that. As per standard, I have scrubbed all the data that relates to contact information on all these resumes, so your privacy will be maintained. Those of you wondering, don't worry about that. And so I think just going over some of these resumes initially, one of the things that I always discover is that folks either try to sell themselves too much, they usually don't sell themselves enough, or they don't sell themselves in the right way forward. Now, looking at Roshan's resume really quick, I'm noticing that he is he's somebody who's a product manager here at Accenture for the past 5 years. I like that his skills are up top, so I have a good, decent idea of what he's doing. But my challenge is that he placed his select achievements down here at the very bottom, where many recruiters' eyes may not even wander, depending on who they are. And I like that he's a community service project type individual who's done a lot of different great things there. And overall, I think this resume is okay. I think if I were to take pen to it, I would probably organize a little bit better in terms of order, where it would optimize the first 6 seconds, where I could see that he's not only a product manager, but he's also been able to create numbers and create results out of that. And so as I kind of continue looking at this resume, tell me what comes to your eyes, Thomas.
Well, my eyes are a little bit older than yours, Albert. So one of the things I noticed is that
I can zoom in.
you can zoom in. No, you can. I'm saying that, if you send it off as a PDF, that's better. It'll just be interesting how it comes up and how it looks on someone's screen. The first thing I always look for is functionality, and that's actually part and parcel with design. And you and I talked about this, and I think I sent you a link to an article that reviews some of the top 10 resume builders.
Yep.
And one of them is called Novo Resume, and I use that quite a bit with our candidates. Novo Resume, and actually, honestly, Roshan, your resume is pretty good. I'm like Albert here. I don't see a ton of things that are wrong with it, but I do see a lot of opportunity that if you went to Novo Resume, or you went to one of these other, 10 recommended, resume builders, and they've come a long way. You add color, you can add a photo. I mean, think about it. Our LinkedIn pages are all very dynamic, right? They include photos. That used to not be cool. I've been at this since a long time, and no one would send a picture of themselves at one point, but now actually that's a fine thing to do. And on Novo Resume or any of the others, I'll look those up. You can do it, and it's free. You can use the enhanced one for $16, but you don't need to. And so that's just a really neat tool. And also, what it does on Novo Resume, these other resume builders, is it gives you a chance it will require that you're talking about your objective. Thanks, Albert, for putting that up there. I think they're based out of the Netherlands or something. I don't know how I came across it. I just remember as a recruiter finding it super refreshing that I could look at that, and that 19 seconds of attention span that a lot of people have, they look right away at skills. You see that, Albert, how they kind of,
I do.
We could take the resume we're just looking at, and if you plugged it in there, it'd be like kind of lighting it up, turning on the Christmas lights, if you will. And you can see Jane Rowe there. You see right away, what is she? Business development manager. That's super cool. We know. And then right below it says business developer with more than 4 years of experience in business development processes involved in product testing. I know exactly who she is. Then on the right, I know how to get a hold of her right away. Because you know what? I'm just going to tell you, folks, one of the things as a recruiter I like to do, what do I use? Good recruiters use this all the time.
And is this something that the ATS can handle?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know any applicant tracking systems that can't, but maybe I don't use them all. But here I want to show you something. I use this phone, and right away I look on the right side. I see she's at 202-555-0166. If you're a good recruiter and you see someone who's talented and that resume, you don't waste any time at all. You call them right away. I put on my AirPods Pro, set it in the cradle here. I make that call. And it's super blessing to have a great resume that's well designed. And once again, I'm not
And I know, Tom,
overly
they're not paying you to promote the site. You
no,
just really
I
like it.
wish they would. I wish they would. And you can use, there's 10 others of these sites that you can use that are equally effective, but they used to suck. They used to not be very good. But Roshan, I think if you took what you got and you plugged it into that, you're going to get something special, because it looks like you've got a lot of really good skills. I don't have a ton of criticism. I like, by the way, that you're 5 years at Accenture. You know, that's attractive, is longevity. And those of you who don't have longevity, we have to figure out other ways to deal with that. But your longevity and commitment there is good. I like that it's one page. I like your skills at the top. I like knowing that you had a good education. It's, you know, I think you should, this is good stuff. I hope people are looking at your resume and giving you serious consideration.
Wonderful, wonderful. I would say, being a little bit of a
You bet.
stickler here when it comes to, things like the word Excel, right? Microsoft Excel should be capitalized. Those are small
Right.
details that people will care about. MS Suite, I understand this to be the Microsoft Suite. There may be some conflict between that, so you'll want to use
Might as well
the
spell
full
it
name.
out.
And
Right.
you know what? I think, this resume is a full page. He's been working for 5 years, and he's got one piece of experience on it and then some select achievements. In my opinion, I would actually if I were to just take this resume, I would copy and paste the select achievements up right here, up right here, so that when I come to this resume for the very first time and I open it in Microsoft Word, I'm seeing that Roshan is somebody who has, he's cut $10,000 a month in overhead costs. He's been able to accelerate client onboarding by 2 months, right? Those are things that I'm guessing, clients of yours care about. And so, the sooner that you can see those things, the sooner you can say, okay, not only has Roshan done the work here, but he's also found a way to, stay at a company for 5 years while doing it, which means that he's probably somebody who can be trusted.
Right. Yep, I agree. I think on that up there, he says product focused, cross-functional, user-centric. Those are all good things. What I love about the Novo resume or any of the resume builders is it asks you to define yourself. What is it? What are you actually? You're product focused. That's how you are, cross-functional, but what are you? Are you a product designer? Is that what you are? Are you because look, are you project manager? I see that on the screen. Are you digital consultant? I don't know. Anything that tells the user, the viewer immediately what you are is a super high value.
And as we've been saying, right, even if he did something like this, where he maybe went and wrote like product manager after here,
Correct.
would be
Correct.
huge. And it would tell me,
huge.
Okay, he's looking for a product manager role. That's what I'll consider. And it'll make him look a lot more focused. And businesses love people who are focused.
Yep, it makes it so much easier. That's great. That's exactly what I was saying. So well done, Albert.
Wonderful. So any final things you'd like to say about this resume before we move to the next one?
Well, no. I was just sending a note to Roshan. No, I think it's good. I think we've given him some good stuff. I hope that helps.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, I'm just going to start going in no particular order here. So the next person I have is Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie's resume, you and I took a look at yesterday, just to see what we had in front of us. And so, in short, from what we saw, Anne-Marie is an IT systems manager, and she's somebody who ended up graduating from college somewhere around 2004, started at KPMG, and then concluded at KPMG 16 years later. So upon looking at this resume, the first thing that I noticed was that it reads like I'm reading a white paper. I love reading white papers at day during my work, during work hours, because they help me understand more about my industry. But when I have thousands of resumes to peer through to look for the perfect candidate, a white paper is not quite the thing that I'm looking for. Here I'm seeing, a lot of really great technical skills, a lot of core strengths, and a very meaty summary of accomplishments, and a very meaty bit of what's gone on at KPMG while she was there for 16 years. Right, this whole thing about resumes, you mentioned that's 19 seconds. I go along with 6 seconds. Either way, it's seconds and not minutes. And so when you see a resume like this, Thomas, what comes to mind for you?
You know, and I really appreciate Anne-Marie, and if you're listening tonight, I don't want to be overly critical, but I think that's what you're asking us to do, is to help you. To me, it's confusing. It's too much. I don't really get who you are when I look straight at it. You're asking me to do too much work, and I'm not a lazy guy. I just have a lot. Okay, Henry, I'll be honest. She said that.
Yep.
She's sweet. Okay.
Hey,
Henry,
we have a lot of smart people in our community. So you know what? If you give them the coaching, they'll do what they got to do.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna be straight up. I want you to go into a resume builder, and I want you to recreate yourself and do a one-page resume. That's your homework, Amber. You can send it to me. You're gonna do a before and after. Albert and I are gonna use it on our next resume review, because we're gonna show how you changed it and made it better. Because it's gonna force you to discipline yourself. You really, honestly, you'd only need one page. And as a recruiter, I look here and I see you've had this incredible longevity at KPMG. That's awesome. So, I recruit folks in the public accounting field, and you have some really exceptional experience. So that's that's on the upside. I just want you to put yourself in a way that's super clear. We know who you are. It says profile, dedicated, self-directed, high-performing. So now I figure out you're a manager, you're an IT manager. Okay, so that's kind of what I figure out at that point. It took me a little while to get there, but once you dig into it, if you have the patience, you realize, you've got a lot of accomplishments. Some of these things you're going to talk about in your interview, but when we get over to that whole list of things,
it's a very intimidating resume too, isn't it?
A little bit. It's a lot. Because, IT professionals kind of, look, they know the buzzwords, they know the nomenclature, they know what it is that makes you a great IT professional. Anyway, I think there's good stuff. I'm just asking you to condense it, make it clear, and hit someone hard with your value proposition. Go to Novo Resume, recreate it if you're willing to, and welcome to send it to me. But I bet you're going to be proud of that recreation. It's going to be on one page. You only have to have it on one page. You're an accomplished individual, great longevity. If you're not working right now, it looks like you kind of left in July of 2020. I think you'd be very placeable, because obviously they liked you there and kept you a long time, and you stayed a long time. Yep. So yeah, that's kind of what I see.
I have two questions for you. So one thing that I'm seeing here, and we see a lot of resumes that use words like dedicated, self-directed, high-performing, self-motivated, strong communicator. To me, these are a lot of buzzwords that are table stakes for candidates. Do you recommend that these words are used on resumes, or do you think that we should just toss them out? And as you were telling me yesterday, just the facts, man.
Just the facts. I think the words that matter, and she has some of them when you go over to the right side, she has executed, sustained. Those active words are good. Right? Managed, those are good words. Managed IT infrastructure, that's a value. But when you go, like you said, dedicated, I'm hoping everyone that applies is dedicated. So maybe that's a little bit of fluff, and it might be better placed with the active voice, things that you've actually done, that you, once again, Albert, you point out last resume, leading a little bit with something sexy about what have you accomplished, right? When you hit all you folks needed to know that I've been in business, over 20 years, and that, maybe I've placed over 1,000 individuals in different jobs throughout the state of California. I mean, those are things that go, oh, Tom knows what he's doing. That's all we need from you, Anne-Marie. I think that's what you're getting at, right, Albert? Is that those things are fairly general terms, and I'm not sure they add a lot of value.
And I think the other thing here is, so Anne-Marie had 16 years at KPMG, which, in this day and age is like finding a needle in a haystack, finding a purple unicorn, or a purple squirrel rather. And so she's obviously done a lot of things over there. And I see, I don't know how many bullets, 3, 4, 5, 9, 12, 15. There are 18 bullets under her time at KPMG. Is that too much, too few, or not enough?
It's too much. She's a disciplinant. Like I said, Anne-Marie, if you're watching and listening, I hope you'll take my challenge, because I'm super excited, because I think you're obviously a really accomplished and smart individual. You've had a lot of success in your job, and I just think you're going to put when you sit down with the resume builder, it's going to discipline you. You're going to be able to put your skills there, just like when Albert pulled it up on the screen. All this is going to come out more clearly, and you're going to have to pick and choose. All those bullet points, it's too much. It's overwhelming, And once again, when I look at this, I don't know who you are unless I squint my eyes down and I figure out you're an IT systems professional. It takes a little while to get there. Anne-Marie's laughing.
All right, cool.
Anne-Marie, I'd like to place you sometime. Maybe I can help you. So
yeah, and so just so maybe we could perhaps put this in the chat. What is an email that that they can contact you at, Tom?
It's a Tom Widroe at iCloud.com. So TomWidroe at iCloud.com. And then, by the way, Adam Herbel said, he found it, because he was originally saying he wanted his resume included, and he didn't see the Facebook live feed, but now he's on. So good job, Adam. Glad you're part of it. And thank you so much, Anne-Marie, for this. Takes a little courage, right, Albert, to put yourself out there.
We have so many people stepping up in our community every single week, whether it's coming on to do a mock interview or coming in to show their resume. And really, it's like one of the things, and just to get a little misty-eyed here, right? It's a very, being on a search for a job is a very vulnerable thing. And so,
it's a lonely,
so many people, it can be.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, tonight with 11 people watching on Facebook, another 28 here in this group.
Wow.
You feel a little bit more like you have other people who are going through what you're going through. And so it's a very relatable thing. So we have a couple questions, actually, before we move on from Anne-Marie's resume. Bill asked, often employers' applicant tracking system will extract data from your resume to autofill their forms for professional experience and education. Will the applicant tracking system scan and inform the employer on items like selected achievements, skills, or could these non-experience, non-education inputs just be lost to the black hole and not be included in the first screen?
You want to take that, or you want me to?
I don't work with applicant tracking systems, so that's all you.
Okay. All right. Well, so there are all kinds of, there's been a massive proliferation of applicant tracking systems, ATS, right? And even smaller companies are kind of going in and doing, buying some kind of software, using a SaaS service, but there's some larger ones, and they can be programmed to a certain extent, right? Where if the company has a value for extracurriculars, and a lot of them do, because they're looking for differentiators. I wouldn't leave off things that make yourself interesting or differentiate you as an individual or stand out, because they're hiring a human being, right? If you got 10, sterile resumes in front of you, all having, this very specific technical or software programming talent or data management talent, whatever it is, I just think it's kind of a cool thing to offer up something interesting about yourself, to show you're a well-rounded person. Your education says something about you that's kind of cool, and people look at that. But what else have you done? What else? What else is a differentiator? So the applicant tracking system, the way some people set it up, maybe it's just going to be for hardcore, technical skills. But other people, I know that and I've set them up before, where they allow you to include some of the other things that make you a colorful individual. That's my experience. So wonderful. I don't know if that answers your question, but I would include it. I like anything that helps you stand out as a person.
Awesome. A couple more questions and then we'll move on. For a chronological resume, how far back should one go? I hear you should go back, show only the last decade.
Albert, you said, what did I said to you last night in our warm-up?
That's what you said last night, yeah.
Well, I said, if you shot someone 10 years ago and buried them in your front lawn, you know what? You're going to be forgiven in 10 years.
And by the way, that's not an excuse for you to go and actually do that, but yes.
Correct. But I'm just saying, it's too far back. If you go far back, no one cares what you've done. We want to know, what have you done for us lately? It's almost like,
it's like our athletes and our sports team,
right?
You know?
God, Albert, great. Look, if you won the championship, I was just watching Moneyball last night on Netflix, and Art Howe, the manager at the time, was trying to renegotiate his contract, and he was frustrated. He only got a 1-year contract, and he said, "Well, we won 102 games last year." And the answer from Billy Beane is, "Well, that was last year. What are you going to do for us today?" So people are really interested in what you've done really in the last 5 years, last 3 years. But if you need to go back 10 years, you can go back 10 years. But beyond that, no one cares. It's just not super relevant, right?
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Wonderful. Will all of this advice and Novo resume apply to jobs not in tech? I would say they will.
100%.
Yeah.
Anything. When you get onto Novo resume, and once again, the only reason I'm plugging it is it's just the one that I seem to use. But there's I don't know if you have the article I sent you, Albert, or
I probably do. It's somewhere buried here.
I may have sent you a link. It says like the top 10 resume builders, and any of them are good, right? They offer colors, templates, and in answer to your question, you don't have to be in IT. I just sent Albert a resume that was done for a CPA. You could be a marketing person. You could be a creative person and still get a lot of utility out of it. Once again, it's about, I'm just going to say the highlight of this for me is a clarity of who you are. What is your professional identity? And that's what I want to hit me the moment I open your resume. If you let me know who you are.
Yeah. So
Tom Widroe, recruiter. There you go.
Yeah.
But simple.
So yeah, I think we're coming to this conclusion here that we want to list between the 5 to the last 10 years. And yeah, we'll kind of go from there. I'm seeing a lot of questions in the group chat. We do have 9 more resumes and a cover letter to go through. So we'll answer some of these as we go along. Feel free to have them come through. And if we by any chance don't get a chance to hit your question, email Tom and he will get back to you. When he's able to. All right.
Yeah,
so,
I just want to say I'm really grateful. I saw Sabrina send a question, and then you read another one in the general group chat. And like Albert said, when we get a chance, we'll answer those. But those are all great questions. Thank you for being engaged. I really appreciate all you folks doing that.
Yep. All right. So the next resume that we have here is by Nok Win. Nok is a financial analyst who works primarily with data and is driven to find solutions and strategies to continuously improve process and work quality. This person is a new graduate, having graduated from UC Davis in 2018, and has been working at T. Marzetti as a financial analyst since October of 2019. You and I looked at this resume last night. We had to Google what T. Marzetti was. T. Marzetti is a food services company. They distribute and are a supply chain company for food. And so knowing where we've gone with COVID-19 and how food supply chains have been severely impacted, this resume was of interest because I think it really, if you're a financial analyst in this area, you're definitely calculating a lot of different things at the moment. And so my initial view of this is that as a new graduate, it's always tough to create a resume because on one hand, you haven't had the opportunity to truly showcase your potential. And on the other hand, your resume is still so short, right? So even though Nok has been out of school for a couple of years, she still lists the courses that she's taken. And they've also continued to list the projects that they've done in school. And then further to that, one thing I also noticed is that I would love to see is, one thing that I'd love to see too is the usage of numbers. So I see guide cost analysis as a part of what I saw, right? And so what kind of decision making has Nok been involved in, and what are those impacts? Because those can be very, very big in terms of what a company can see. So love to hear your thoughts, Tom.
Yeah, Nok, I agree with you. We went over it last night, and Nok, good job on being a financial analyst in an important industry. I think you're going to have a lot to talk about in your interview, because everybody should be interested in kind of the supply chain of food, right? Vis-a-vis the pandemic that we've kind of all endured. It looks like you've been kind of right there in the middle of this. It has to make financial sense, and that's my sense of what it is. You're an analyst. And I think that's kind of cool. I'd like to know, I guess, that you're in food service. We had to look it up. I just think that's your industry. Are you looking to stay in that industry? Um, is that a specialty of yours? Is that unique? That's what I want to know. You say an analyst that works primarily with data and is driven to find solutions and strategies to continuously improve process and work quality. So it's kind of like a Six Sigma approach, continuous improvement. So I think that's attractive.
And
In
maybe
a
a
general,
future employer
go
is
ahead.
interested in investing in a Six Sigma green belt or something of
Right.
that sort,
Yeah, absolutely. And you could even say that, aspiring Six Sigma or, you know, um, yeah. So T Marzetti, I'd like to know the industry is food service. When you get down to projects, Albert, you and I talked about that. I think we changed Tacoma Bridge to be a proper noun, right?
Yeah. So
It should, because
So
it
we
says,
know about the Tacoma Narrows Bridge disaster, which for those of you on the line is a famous bridge up in Washington that was built originally to withstand the really heavy winds. And in the 1940s, the winds became so strong that one day the bridge just simply snapped in half. Now, while this resume overall is fairly good, if I were to nitpick, I would have nitpicked on the noun usage and the titling of this particular disaster, just in case you had like 15 financial analysts to pick from and you really needed to figure out how to get rid of
detail. You want people to be detail oriented and care about,
exactly.
everything. And look, it's a little bit, I guess you call it nitpicky, but I like everything and I make mistakes too. Just the other day,
Mhm.
someone picked out that I had a misspelling on my LinkedIn profile and it really bothered me. I changed it while I was on the call, we all can do it. It was really, she said, that just bugs me, Tom. I said, bugs me too. So,
Yeah.
Knock,
And
one of the
another
things,
example here, right,
go ahead.
is Power BI. Power BI is a Microsoft tool for
Yeah. What
business
is that?
intelligence. And so the B and
Okay.
the I should both in this situation be capitalized. So those are
Right.
small details. Microsoft Assess. I don't think Microsoft Assess exists. I believe it's Microsoft Access. So you definitely want to get that
Yeah.
right as well. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Get those things right, Knock. And then,
She
once
says,
again, what did she say?
oh, her question was, at work, I do a lot of data pulling and model building, and I am a member of the continuous improvement team.
Ah,
I was teaching a year prior to this job. Should I include it?
yes. The fact that you're a teacher is a good thing. And it's only a year prior. It's what you've been doing. So you actually educate other people. You're smart enough and experienced enough that people listen to you and you train them and educate them. To me, that shows a maturity. Not everyone can do that. I would include it, for sure. Uh,
Yeah.
Looking here, Albert, I sent you an article from kickresume.com. I sent you the link on our messaging. I don't know but it has 10 of these things. So once again, I'm going to push you. And so I don't just do Nova Resume. There's Kick Resume. I've seen resumes in that. It's awesome. There's Zeti. There's Canva, which is like started by a young woman. And I think the company is worth $1 billion. She's 30 years old. She decided to put design tools in a way that we don't all have to, learn the Adobe suite to be designers. And she's, it's just went boom. She's Australian, and that one's down the list. It's called Canva. And I'm just telling you, you spend that much time, Knock, being an analyst. Well, put your
This
best foot
Canva is
forward.
interesting because it's
Yeah.
generally a graphic design tool too to begin with.
Yep.
So,
Well, why
um,
shouldn't and see, we're at a stage, people, and what I think is interesting. I'm 56, Albert. Why do I get this? And so many people younger than I don't get it. They don't get that we live in a world where great design tools, great design elements are at your fingertips, and all this, this intelligence, this artificial intelligence that's allow you to enter your stuff into resume, and it's going to format it for you. It's a beautiful thing. So you've got to use it. Deep says we're scared of the ATS. Not you think they'll bungle it? I don't know. There's Nova Resumes number 9. See that?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, so
so
Thomas, we don't have visibility into what the ATS does. So all of us are scared of it. And the other thing is when we upload on company websites and they ask us to still fill out their specific fields, I
Okay.
take my guess from there that it never reads my title, work experience correctly, and I have to manually correct everything. That makes me think the ATS doesn't read my resume correctly. So
That's
yeah,
deep.
we're very
That's a,
scared of it.
well, can you send both? Can you try both? Can you submit twice?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
I just think you should, because once you look at Cake resume, they're just all very attractive and very easy to read. And, you're a talented, bright person, if you can, and they're all free practically. I mean, every once in a while you have to step up and spend a little money on it, but very rarely. So, but Deep, I get it that you're scared of it. And
Yeah.
here's another tip I was going to say. I don't know how many of you use your LinkedIn very often. So I'm a recruiter, and I use LinkedIn aggressively, and I pay the money to be a professional member of it. But you can, during your job search, you can join up and actually through your network start accessing people and sending your resumes directly to them sometimes. So that's just another way. You may be somehow or another through first, second, or third connection be able to deliver your resume. I love it when you go through someone like me because I'm a recruiter and that's what I do, but it doesn't mean that we control all the information, and you can reach out and be proactive about that. Anyway, it's a good resume.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, there you go. You are calling out everybody for being younger than you and not having the same idea. All right, so let's go to the next resume here. And what did you want to say?
No. I just think that it looks like now there's a nice design element in Jane Doe. This is Jane Doe's.
So she decided to take her name off, and so
okay,
it's completely scrubbed. If the person on this call wants to speak up about it, they most certainly can.
Sure.
Okay. But basically, I when we were looking at resumes yesterday, I like this resume a lot because it's written in a way that I like. But so the one thing that I would change likely is just to turn this big paragraph here into highlights of what she's done. I like that she's got the skills and tools, and I like that she's got a lot of long stints at a lot of really great companies, right? Genentech, HGC, NetApp, and then she's got a heart. This person has the heart for to be able to serve their community. And then I think the other thing is, the whole notion of being Six Sigma certified is at the very bottom. I think you have to put that up here at the top under skills and tools, because having your Six Sigma is kind of like one of those upgrades that you get from after having like a bachelor's or a master's degree. And so I think that this resume should be doing pretty well on the market. But you know what, Tom? You may have some alternative opinions and ideas based on what you see. Let us know.
Here's some. Okay, maybe that went away. Looking here at Jane Doe's resume, I think overall it's pretty good. I like the titles. I like the use of color. Once again, that's what I was pointing out in the resume builders, is the use of color, use of a design element. I still want to look at it and know exactly who you are. It should say Jane Doe and then take product manager and put it right there at the top, so I know who you are immediately. There you go. Thanks, Albert. That's exactly it. Don't make me struggle to figure it out. And then you say for 3 years with 10 years technology experience delivering high quality products on schedule. I like that sentence. It's a strong communication, collaboration, and prioritization skills, experience in agile and waterfall. I don't know if agile and waterfall are supposed to be capitalized or not, but complex. Also,
I know
not
those are project management concepts, so they might need to be capitalized. You're very right.
Right, and I'm not sure why you bold some things and not others. Maybe I'm missing.
Like I see, founded a 12-person, I guess cross-functional is important. In 1 year, analyze 50 high-impact, complex customer dysfunction defects. That's a lot of words in my mouth.
And then the CMM practices is bolded. I'm just not absolutely sure. I'm not saying that bolding. There's no perfectly right or wrong. I just don't know exactly why you've chosen. Like there's across India, Egypt, Belgium, and the U.S. Why is that all bolded? I'm not sure I understand. So maybe you want it to have a rhyme and a reason for what you're doing, and why you're doing it in the way you present yourself. So that's just once again, that's just, I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure that out. I like who you are. Obviously, like Albert was saying, Genentech is a great company. So that certainly is a great calling card. It's nice that you're wildlife rehab consultant. That's pretty cool. And
Homeowners
you run your,
Association as well. You
yep,
know,
that needs,
it's good
yeah,
stuff.
homeowners. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all good stuff and good training. So I would put it on one page. I'd go to one of those 10 resume builders and put it all on one page and narrow it down. You
Yeah.
don't, less is more. I could take the president of the United States. I could take anybody, you know, anyone who's been in business for many years. And I probably could put their resume on one page. I don't know anyone who really has to have their resume go to 2 pages. I just don't know it. You know, I haven't seen it where it has to go there. You could have a link to your portfolio if you're a designer, or you could have a link to some of your, if you're a numbers person, some of the quantitative projects you worked on. But really, your resume, you know, it's tight, it's straight up, fits on one page. So
Awesome.
that's just my take.
This is my resume. I misunderstood when Albert said to remove information. I thought we had to remove the name as well, so I removed my name.
Now we know. Hi, Deep.
I removed the name and all that stuff, or I blacked it out for people since we were putting this video live, so that folks would not get harassed or anything. And just
so I can explain the bolding. So this is advice I got from some other. I mean, I've attended so many resume webinars. So somebody said they like to see bolds so that they don't have to read the entire bullet. They can just read what's the main idea here. So when I say CMM practices, it's like Lean Six Sigma. So I want to say CMM. It's along the same lines, and so on. The other part, I think the other question you had was long bullets or fitting on one page. So this was my question why I came to the webinar today. Most of the webinars I attend, they tell us to write our bullets in XYZ format, which says accomplished X as measured by Y by doing Z. So that's a very long bullet. And every bullet I have to write, I did this as measured by this and by doing this.
Yeah.
That makes it very long.
I'm going to go in a different direction, Deep, and I want you, if you have a half hour or 40 minutes to take what's already really good stuff, and it'll discipline you in any of those 10 resume builders to articulate yourself very clearly.
So what's needed in the bullet? Do we just write the results? Do we write what we did, or do we write all three? So it's like.
It's just about efficiency of language, right? Let's see if I can give you an example. Move defect identification into the design stage using CMM practices. I mean, that's just, you know, this resulted in a stable code release, reduced defects during, you know, I would just simply say, let's see.
Reduced testing time by 33% and saved 11 person weeks by moving defect identification using CMM practices. Boom.
Yeah, you could
save you a line as well.
Okay.
Yeah. You know,
and thank you, Mona Lisa. She's on the Facebook live here saying that one page unless it's a senior director and above. I personally deviate from that because, you know, because so many resumes are sent digitally these days. If a 2-page resume does it for you, then, you know, by all means. If you're like a 3-page resume and you only have 5 years of work, then I probably have some questions about your longevity and what you've been doing. But go on.
Well, once again, I'd say if it gets past the 10 years, it just doesn't matter. So, you know, if you, however much you really need to get in what you've done recently. Once again, that's why I say brevity is the soul of wit, as Mark Twain said. You know, you can take your International Wildlife Rehab Council and narrow that down to just a line, sunset. It's just nice to know you worked on that. You volunteered there. That's great. I'm not sure I need to know that you learned about wildlife rehab licensing industry. You know, it's just brevity is the soul of wit, in my opinion. If you can give it to me when someone's looking through, even Albert, 100 digital resumes in a day, they want to know who you are from the moment they open it up, and they want to smile. And all recruiters, we get this kind of warm, fuzzy feeling in our when we see that resume that works. And so I'm just telling you, Deep, if you can, go try it. And I promise it's not time wasted. And I'm more than willing to volunteer an equivalent amount of time helping you out if you find it. You know, you send me the version 2 of this 2.0 of your resume.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Thomas.
Awesome.
It's my pleasure.
We'll take a question here. So One of them is, I assume here that Deep is going to be applying to other product manager roles. And so some folks have been asking here in the chat whether should the title on the resume be tailored to each job that it's being applied to?
You mean if you're making a career move?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe she wants to apply for a lead engineer again and go from product manager to that. Should it say lead engineer here instead?
Well, she hasn't been one yet, so no.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
you can say we got to be clear about who we are, but in there, once again, in the resume builder, it'll actually replace some of this stuff with an objective, and that's really refreshing. I'm just telling you, folks, when you write a great objective, you know, product manager with 10 years experience seeks director level position, ready to run a team, strong business acumen, generated, you know, whatever products that 50.
Your audio cut out.
In my opinion, when I'm as a recruiter, oh, is it back?
Yeah, your audio's back. We missed about
Okay.
5 seconds there.
Okay, sorry. Someone called. I really want to know what your objective is. So you have to tell who you are truthfully. You know, you're not going to say that you're a senior director or you know VP if you're not. But you're going to put it right there. My objective is, hey, I'm skilled, I'm able, and I seek a director level position to move my career forward. That lets me know what you want to do with your life.
Awesome. Wonderful. And then the other question that we have is, do you have an opinion about chronological versus functional resume formats?
Chronological versus functional. I'm looking right away for chronology, just me, you know, like on Deep's resume when it goes straight to what she's done the last 3 years. That's just the most salient piece of information she's got. So I want to dive right in. What did you do last year? What are you doing right now? What did you do 2 years ago, 3 years ago? To me, that tells most of the story. That is the most important part of the resume. Everything else kind of substantiates it. So when you put up Bo's resume or whatever,
We'll do Bo's at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. So senior art, yeah. Anyways, you go ahead and start on Jones here, but I hope that helps.
Wonderful. All right. So we have, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 resumes left that we'll get to in the next 35 minutes. So it will be a little bit of a blitz here. Joan here. Welcome back, Joan. She's a senior art director, storyteller, digital marketer. She's been winning awards, and she's been a consultant for the past 11 years with some really great clients under her belt, including Charles Schwab, Intel, Microsoft, Disney, the LA Museum of Tolerance, United Way, and 3Com. She's got a really great educational background, UC Santa Barbara, Go Gauchos, Art Center of LA, yep. And in Pasadena, which is an elite art school, and then the Bay Area Video Coalition of San Francisco. And so, Joan, I know I've seen you quite a bit on the Facebook group, and so helping you with your resume is a definite honor for me. I'm looking at your resume, and I see a lot of really great things. I think I believe up here in the area that I've blacked out that you do have a link to your portfolio, so we'll assume that that's there for now. And so, you know, when it comes to executive level type resumes, Tom, it's not actually my strength because I'm more of a mid-level to entry-level individual. Have you ever hired any art directors in your life? And when you look at a resume like this, what comes to mind?
Well, it's an interesting story, folks, because my first ever hire as a recruiter was a creative director for an ad firm. Okay. So a company that does advertising for food products and restaurants, and really neat lady by the name of Mary Beth Myers. I headhunted her away from, she was with a guitar company, and I knew her, and I said, hey, you know, they've hired me to go do this recruit for this creative director, and they hit it off and they hired her. I thought this was easy. Took me a week or something, you know, and turns out it's not easy at all. It's really hard, but that's the way it's set up. And so, yeah, I've placed creatives before. I have a lot of respect for creatives. As you know, you could tell I keep talking about design elements and things. So I kind of come from that background. So
Okay.
Joan, you've got a lot to offer. Great clients. Looks like you've been on your own. I think your challenges, Joan, since we're in 2020, so for the last 11 years, you've been on your own.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like me going out and trying to, go work for Korn Ferry or Heidrick Struggles. I don't know. People are sometimes hesitant because they think you've been doing your own thing for a long time, and they're wondering whether or not they should hire you because you're happy on your own. So that's, but as far as the look and feel, you're a designer. I think there's a lot of great stuff there. I don't have a ton of things that I would do differently with your resume, other than maybe at the top, Albert. I would say if you scrolled up a little, you define yourself. I'm an art director with a passion, but I would say something about your objective, because I would say I'm an independent art director with strong background working with Fortune 500 companies, whatever it is, and I'm looking for a corporate side or internal marketing, looking to return to that, for the esprit de corps, for whatever it is, whatever reason you're looking to leave consultancy and to join. Maybe there's a particular industry you want to go into. So maybe it's obvious what your objective is that you're sending it in, but it'd be nice. Don't leave anything up for consideration. Tell people what it is you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I think the focusing piece would be important. She's obviously had she's got, right, Kaiser, so that's healthcare, Tootmac Coffee, that's food and beverage, Schwab, that's financial services,
Yep.
Microsoft, Intel, that's software, Bay Networks, that's deep technology, Honda, that's motors, automotive. And so, right, I mean, she would probably make a great fit, in my opinion, for one of those like publicly traded agencies like Edelman
Sure.
or something. But
Right.
if she wanted to go into like a individual company, like an Oracle or Facebook as a creative director, she would probably have to find a way to just state that those individual companies are the ones out of the many that she's been passionate about, and that she wants to work for that specifically. So
yeah, that's a good point, Albert. Is she looking for, and maybe you're wide open to both, but are you looking for agency side, like you brought up Edelman or any number of other kind of hot creative, they're big, they're the big player, but there's a lot of other, boutique firms. Are you looking to get into one of those firms and leave solo behind, or do you want to join an in-house corporate team, go back to Schwab or Wells Fargo or any of those other Bay Area place teams? Opportunities, and go Gauchos. I love it when Gauchos do well, but that's as a fellow Gaucho. So I want to know, what's your objective?
Wonderful. All right, so the next person is Sam. Sam sent his resume along, sent their resume along later in the day, said that it was okay to leave their email and their phone number up. So if you're looking for a marketing, media, advertising, performance marketing individual, give Sam a call or give Sam an email. And so just going down through this really quickly, again, right, I think it's one of these resumes where it's apparent to me that they're in marketing, media, and advertising. A deeper focus is something that I don't really necessarily notice, although, I mean, the mention of ads and display networks. So, to me, this is a person who maybe is a performance marketer. And so they've been a marketing director at Africans in Sports since May of 2019, and a marketing associate at Malcolm Drilling since September 2019. And then before that, a digital marketing and media specialist. And then, Foothill for a community college, and then a digital marketing certificate from Cornell. I think the thing that kind of stands out to me here is if you are an ads person, the thing that needs to stand out to me the most is how your ads have performed while you've done the work, and that you're able to give me some kind of numerical substantiation, like you've been able to drive some hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue of some sorts. I think the other piece here that's odd to me is that this person is concurrently a marketing associate and a marketing director all at once. One of
Yep.
these could be just a side hustle, but I don't really know about that at the moment. And so that's also confusing to me. Your thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing stands out. I don't know if you're a marketing director, and I assume if you're a marketing director, you're managing other people, possibly. But then you're a marketing associate, which I would assume you're not managing other people. So, but if you said it's a side project, so
Okay.
maybe you need to say marketing consultant. If it's a side project, maybe change that from associate for I don't know. Sounds like you're 1099 there, and maybe your full time is at Africans in Sports, which is great. So just don't want to confuse people. I think it's well designed. You're to the point.
There's a lot of good numbers here. I'd like to see those
Yeah,
numbers pulled out to the top in a highlight section so that I can be wowed and blown away by them.
yeah, yeah. And you're early in your career. Be interesting to once again talk about career objectives. That's always
Yeah.
if I were looking at this, I'm wondering why does he want to leave?
Yeah.
What are you looking for? You're already a marketing director and you're currently employed. Maybe I don't know. That can be a sensitive issue. Maybe there's not a great work environment, or you're not happy with it. There's not room for advancement. I don't know what it is, but it's always interesting to hear what your objective is. Maria says, should we list interests?
My answer is no on that one.
Like interests, you mean?
I'm interested in the San Francisco Giants. I like collecting vintage maps. I enjoy biking. Those are things I don't put on my resume because they're not relevant to the problem I'm trying to solve. But maybe you have a different idea.
Albert says no, and me, I'm always looking for points of discussion and warm things that we can. Because when I call you on the phone, I want to have a really rich phone call with you, let's say, and it's okay to have a few of those things down there because it lets me know you're a whole person and that you look. I was just looking the other day at a client of mine's website, and they have the profiles, a boutique public affairs firm, and the principal talked about how he loves to mountain bike in the East Bay. That was one of the things that he said. So it's kind of relevant, filled him out. Another one said she's got 3 kids and that are off to college, and so they all included a little something about themselves. I think that's absolutely fine, and it's interesting. I was interested in what Albert does. I'm interested in all of you guys. A good recruiter should be interested in who you are as a whole person. So it doesn't mean, Albert, I agree with you, you don't want to go on too long about it, but if you got little things that can kind of generate look, interviewers are sometimes uncomfortable like you are, and they're sitting there wanting to, oh, you like the 49ers? So do I. And that might get that might get you flowing once you're in that interview. And I don't know. I'm okay with it. You don't have to go on about it.
I remember when I started at my current job that my boss was in the kitchen and some people from across the hallway had learned that she had hired the founder of Albert's List, and they were kind of gaggling like it was like some celebrity had walked through the door.
Celebrity out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's fascinating that you did Albert's List, Albert. I mean, and you and I connected.
Yeah.
That way, I put that on my resume.
Humble brag. Cool. Yeah. That's a complete humble brag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool. I think it's a cool thing. Here we are. You're impacting people's lives. This is a good thing. So tell us who you folks are, and that's an attractive thing. You don't want to get into it too deep, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And so, Sam, yes, I do recommend a separate section for your results and your stats. And then I think a general question to just sort of follow up on that before we move on to our next resume is, should people list their side projects and side hustles on their resume? And what's the best way to do it? My opinion on that, and I do this on my own resume, is that I separate my relevant experience, which is my day-to-day job, 9-to-5 work, from my other experience, which includes the work that I've done as a marketing consultant, as a founder of Albert's List. And so I separate the two. And it's pretty clear to a lot of the employers that I work for, because almost once every single interview, I will be asked, so tell me about this Albert's List project that you've got going on. And so that also keeps it away from bringing up red flags where people may think, oh, he's running this 45,000 person community. Is he a threat to like leave if this thing goes into something else? And for me, the answer is no, because I actually enjoy my day job quite a bit too. I'm not trying to run away from anything. But your thoughts?
I think you're right. I think if your side hustle or your side thing, just like your interest, is interesting and not overly controversial or questionable, or it looks like you're diverting in a different direction,
Like as an aside, if your side hustle is supporting a political candidate or writing a blog on political science, and you're trying to get a job as like a marketing manager or an operations manager or a product manager, how does that reflect? And is that a red flag potentially if your employers don't agree with your political views?
I don't know. You don't want to make your politics central to this. It's not really relevant. I know a lot of people are wearing their political hearts on their sleeves these days, and I'm more conservative guy, and I don't hide that, but I don't make my friends or my business associates based on their politics. But some people, they might be sensitive. I wouldn't get into that too much at all. I would avoid. That's like politics and religion at the dinner table.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that is unless you're going for a political job, that you want to emphasize it. It doesn't have to all be. I like to pet fuzzy cats. It could be a little more interesting than that.
Yeah.
I had someone told me the other day, I don't know, they went on a trip to halfway around the world and did it all on a college budget. I don't know. It was a fascinating story. And to me, I found out a lot about how he planned the trip and how he funded it. And I thought it was pretty cool. It made me want to hire him because he's an interesting person. So,
wonderful.
So anyway, list your side hustles if they're meaningful or interesting or productive. If they're not, then don't.
Yeah. All right. Next resume. So this next resume is from from Tin. Tin is in the aviation industry, which has been hard hit during COVID-19. And I know you mentioned to me last night, Tom, that you have hired people in the aviation industry before, which is really cool. And so Tin is currently a duty manager and head of surveillance officer at Lufthansa. And that's pretty much what he's been doing since college graduation. Outside of that, being a sales supervisor at Fry's Electronics and working as a ramp operator. And so I took a look at this. I take a look at this resume. I don't know the first thing about airplanes beyond, say going on Wikipedia pages for airports and seeing where different airplanes fly into. But from a very high level, it's not clear to me what Tin wants to do next. And it's also confusing that they are a duty manager and a head of surveillance officer concurrently. So those are just a couple of my initial few thoughts. Over to you.
Yeah, same things, Albert. I think I think that I like the little icons.
I do too.
Lufthansa.
These are great.
It's kind of fun, right? It's a nice design element. Once again, going back to, I think, was it Jones resume? Who's a designer, and ramp operator. I like using the little logos, the little icons, or avatars, whatever it is. But like Albert, I don't really know what you're trying to accomplish. Once again, getting back to your objective, what are you trying to do? If you scroll up, Albert, again.
If we look at the summary, it says hardworking, flexible, highly motivated, which are buzzwords for me, with a wide-ranging background in management, customer service, ramp operator, weight and balance, load master,
Those are all good.
Coordinator. My main focus is analyzing team performance and committing and building up a strong, high quality teamwork. I'm a problem solver who remains proactive and decisive under pressure. So I think the other piece of this in reading this is that, so I'm a writer.
It's not super well written.
That's what I get paid to do. And so if I am having trouble reading your summary, that's not going to bode well for the rest of my experience with your resume. Please, grammar, have somebody else read it, run it through Grammarly, do anything that you can to make sure that.
Run it through Grammarly is a great one, Albert. I'm a decent writer, And I still run everything through Grammarly when I need to kind of publish
I
it.
do too. Yeah.
My main focus is analyzing team performances and committing in building up a high quality. I kind of know what you're getting at, but it's not good grammar. I'm a problem solver who remains proactive. I never know what proactive really means, but decisive under pressure, that's that's something in the airline industry I assume is pretty important. I don't understand how you're a duty manager and a head surveillance officer at the same time. Isn't head surveillance officer sounds like it's above duty manager? And then you're also turnaround coordinator. so you're three things. So I don't know, that's fine. I just, and maybe that's the way you design it. I'm trying to think of how that narrative comes across. Maybe with your objective. So I don't really know what you're trying to be though. Like you've got these 3 jobs you're doing for Lufthansa, which is great, but what are you trying to achieve? Are you looking for another duty manager, head surveillance officer, turnaround coordinator position? Which one is it? All 3? Yep. So maybe objective isn't a bad idea. Once again, people want to look at it and know, here's the solution. Here's the weird, I'm going to tell you all out there, the less that you leave up to the hiring manager to figure out, the better. Mm-hmm. It's almost like having a puzzle in front of you, Albert.
Yeah.
They just want to fit a piece in to that puzzle. I know it sounds funny because it's your life and it's your career, but usually you're the head of human resources, you're the head of engineering. We got a requisition for another software engineer who's a .NET expert. Okay. That's all they want to do is fill that. And then they can check that. I'm going to check this on the piece of paper. They check that off. I did that today. I scored. I got my new hire. And that's how they look at it. I would love to say that they just want to hang out with me, Albert, but they don't. They really
if they didn't have to hire
problem.
you, they wouldn't hire you, right? Because you're a
probably
consultant.
Not. Right, that's right. Right.
And people hire consultants because they're in their own way, for better or for worse.
Yeah, they're trying to solve a problem. So
yeah, wonderful. All right, so let's move to the next resume. All right, so this is a resume that impressed our socks off. Purnima is a chemical engineer with a PhD, and one thing that we've noticed here is not just the wonderful education that she has, or that they have, and not only their skills, but the amount of publications that they've been featured in on the conference presentations. So have you hired PhDs in the past, and have you hired folks who do research? I look at a resume like this, and I think what you and I agreed to was the fact that it's not clear to us whether this person is looking for research or looking for private sector. Although, I mean, the answer is literally in this sentence. So maybe it is that.
Yeah, but we're still, once again, what did I just say? You want to take the decision-making out of the hands of the hiring manager. Don't leave them puzzled. Don't make them figure it out. Yes, you're a chemical engineer. So what job are you looking for? What position are you looking for? In what industry? Where? Just lay it out there, Purnima, because you have a very impressive, dear Lord, you're a lot smarter than I am. Okay, thank God people are out there like you, because we'd be living in the Stone Ages if folks like you weren't applying all of your knowledge to solving complex technical problems. That being said, I don't know what it is that you're trying to accomplish for sure. I don't know what. I'm going to offer one other piece of advice, folks. Purnima, if you were going to work with me, I would say to you, not only fix your resume, you might say to me, well, Tom, I don't know exactly what I'm going for. And I'd say, well, I want you to use Indeed. I want you to use Simply Hired. I want you to use any number of job aggregators. And I want you to come up with 20 jobs that when you read them throughout the country, you put in use your Boolean search skills, and you come up with 10, 15, 20 jobs. Send me the links of jobs that you would hire yourself for, okay? That you would hire you for. So that shows, oh my gosh, it shows that when you get a pattern of 15 or 20, now you know what you're going for. Because if you're honest with yourself about would you hire yourself for that role, I think that starts to narrow it down. It makes you search, and maybe it's chemical engineer in a lab. So I'd then start, as a recruiter, I'd start clicking on the links to Simply Hired or Indeed or whatever aggregator, and I'd say, oh, I get who Purnima is. I get what she's looking for. These are the jobs. Because I I'm not sure what job you're going. You seem super smart, but what do you want?
Yeah, exactly.
So one question, Tom, thank you. So you suggest that I would, for each of the job that I'm going for, I tailor make a particular thing in the first summary itself, saying that I'm looking out for, say, a research position in so and so company. So, say a research position
How
in
about this?
cancer therapeutics.
How about this? A chemical
Yeah.
engineer with great education and a master's degree, with strong experience in this or that. I'm looking through here. Seeks full-time employment in Fortune 500, pharmaceutical company in a lab. Anything to let
Okay.
me know. And you can, like I said, pull up the resume builder. Use one of those 10, and see if that doesn't help you. Create that objective, so when anyone looks at it, they know immediately, because you're going to be the answer to their dreams, right? Their prayers. Someone's looking for a chemical engineer in a lab, if that's what you want to do. And don't let them overlook your resume because it's unclear what you're trying to do.
Okay.
Make it super clear. Like
I
you
think
were
we want to make
explaining
it clear
to
too that she's very qualified, right? You're very
right.
qualified, and you have the publications, the presentations, and a whole lot of words that I couldn't even explain. You know more about chemistry than I'll ever know in 1,500 years. Which is wonderful. And I think
Yes.
you were telling me this too, Thomas, last night, that there's somebody out there who is inventing things that you and I have never really thought about, like the linoleum on your table.
Yeah, the
Right.
plastic covering on this IKEA table that works so well.
Right. Those are things that
I've
people like Pornima invent, and we don't even think twice about it. So
That's right. And thank God for you. But I was just going to say, go and create that, go into that resume builder, make it colorful, make your objective so clear that you could explain it to my 10-year-old son, Brody, who's a sharp kid, and he would understand. He'd say, oh, I know what kind of job you're looking for, a job in a lab as a chemical engineer. He might not understand it all, but he knows what you're trying to do. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And one question. So is it necessary to put a photo on the resume, or you think I should do it like the way LinkedIn gives a resume out, or?
It's not necessary if you're comfortable doing that. People are doing it now. We have photos everywhere, right? You have Facebook, and it's a proliferation of imagery is just overwhelming, right? And we all look at photos and videos. It used to be a faux pas, to be honest with you, Purnima. It was a faux pas. People didn't do it.
Do selfies work?
Do selfies work? Well, look at some of the LinkedIn profile pictures. Some are inappropriate, right? They show, I know this one where a buddy of mine he's pictured with his girlfriend. It's just kind of weird. Like, why are you in your LinkedIn professional profile with your girlfriend? I don't know. Another one where a guy has a tank top shirt on. That's weird too. But if you just you can have someone take a selfie. You could take a selfie, put on something that you're comfortable in, that you feel good in, or you can even ask a photographer to do. Some people do LinkedIn professional profiles. It might cost you a couple $100, but it's money well spent, because that's going to sit on your profile for a long time, and it can go right there on your resume too if you use one of the resume builders.
I used the profile picture that I spent $80 or so on 7 years ago.
Okay.
And I use it for everything. So
there you go.
Yeah.
I would let's invest in ourselves, people. If it's a photo, like Albert spent $80, that's not a big deal, honestly. We want to spend $20 on a resume builder, or maybe get it for free, but let's take the time, effort, and resources to put our best selves forward. After all, Purnima, you have achieved a lot. Just don't sell yourself short with poor marketing or lack of clarity.
Asking for a friend, is showing cleavage okay, or just your head?
I guess it depends how much cleavage you got. No, I have to be careful.
Oh boy.
That's an interesting question.
I would say
as long as it's
professional, business is a conservative world, unless you're like applying to work somewhere where cleavage is helpful, I suppose.
Well, if you're applying to be a raiderette,
Yeah.
That's all about cleavage. But generally, I think you're right. You can look, we can all look attractive by being professional, and it doesn't mean you have to look stuffy or staid. If you look at some of, I should send you if I can find a link to the photographer that I use here, I'll send it over, Albert, because
Okay.
you can look at, he's got tons of photos, and you can see does them outside, and people look attractive because that's his job, to make
Yeah.
you look good. And but you probably don't need to show cleavage.
Yeah. All right. Second to last resume before we actually hop into the resume cover letter combo. So Tony Longshore, he was in our group the other day saying that he's been looking for work for a while, and we offered to help him. And we actually just got some really good news in the Facebook chat while we were looking it up. He said that he submitted his resume and cover letter to a streaming service that he's been an evangelist for. His cover letter was appreciated, and he has a phone screen interview next week, and so they're going to send him a date and time tomorrow. I'm thrilled to hear that.
Great.
Every time we get a great success story like that. So what has he been doing so far? He's been a DevOps analyst at Facebook for the last year or so, reviewing third-party apps. Before that, he was a client service associate for about 7 months at Guardant Health, and then he was a contractor at Google through Vaco San Francisco to listen to call quality, likely for something like a Google Voice. And then he was with Waze, a contractor at Twitter, a contractor at Accenture. And so, yeah, I see a lot of short-term gigs here with really big companies and a Six Sigma as well. And so he graduated from Mount Pleasant High School here in San Jose with a GED, no college degree. And he's made it this far, and he's done quite a bit in his last few years. So I think because he's a contractor at a lot of these different spots, really pulling out the highlights of his contract work is big for me. And then being able to really go into here in this skill section and break it out by skill type is also important to me. But I would wonder, like, number one, how do you explain these extremely short stints? Because I feel like I'm looking at 8 or 9 jobs in the last 5 years, which resembles my resume when I first graduated. So, I mean, he's not the only person. But yeah, your thoughts, Tom, as we kind of get to the end here.
Okay. I would concur with you, Albert, here. It's just a lot of short stints, and it's explainable if that's in the context of you as a contractor. So I kind of get that. And maybe in the objective, you need to say something like, talented DevOps professional with, 5 years experience as an independent contractor looking to segue into, corporate, full-time corporate work, something like that. So they kind of right away you really want to answer, why are these short stints? Because look, client service associate, that's a red flag for a lot of recruiters. It's a red flag for a lot of hiring managers. And I'm not saying it's your fault, you're a contractor, but you got to figure out a way to contextualize and show people that, because most of my clients are really looking for longevity. Okay, whether you're a content review analyst or whatever it is you're going to do, user support, they get so tired of the turnover in those positions. They want someone that's going to come on board, learn the way they do business, be a friend, be a coworker, be successful, build relationships with their clients, and they just want you to be there because they're going to invest in you. But if they think you're only going to be there for a few months and then you're going to go do something else, not so good. So maybe you need to contextualize at the beginning and say, hey, I've been a contractor. That's what I do. I've gone in, I've done a good job, I've come out, and then now I've realized that it's time for me to be, part of something for a longer period of time as a full-time employee. That's my thought.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I know one of his things the other day was that he doesn't have a college degree when a lot of people ask for that. Given that he graduated from high school 6 months before I was born December of '87. I don't really think that matters. Do you think it matters to you or your clients if he's got that much work experience?
It depends on what you're applying for.
Yeah.
So if you're applying to be a mechanical engineer, they're going to go straight to your education. Did you go somewhere reasonably prestigious? Did you go to Davis? Did you go to my alma mater, UC? Who did you learn from? Because there's a lot of fundamentals in engineering that require a lot of study, a lot of time, a lot of focus. Those are people who build our bridges, or maybe if you're a software engineer that you went to coding college, or maybe you're self-taught, that can happen. But I don't think it's super relevant for the roles that you're seeking. Once again, you need to clear up your objective to be in. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. This will be encouraging. One of my first recruits for a SaaS company in the Santa Barbara area in healthcare technology about 6 years ago, they were a new client of mine. Her name was Victoria, and she got a job as a client manager. She came out of another company, and she has no college degree. She's married to a sheriff. She is now the director of client services 5 years later. So she started just no college degree, no nothing, but she had longevity, 5 years, commitment, great performance, and they moved her on up. The other well-educated director of client services moved to LimeWire or something like that, and LimeBike, and now they moved her in. So it can be done. I wouldn't worry or obsess too much about that. I don't think that's the main thing. You want to show that. I mean, you have a Six Sigma certificate. That's really interesting to me. High school degree, but Six Sigma certificate. I think you got to put this in context. I would go to the resume builder. You need a clear narrative for people to get comfortable to bring you on board, that you're going to be a long-term asset.
Yep. All right, wonderful. We have one more resume and one more resume cover letter combo that I'm going to do here. And then what I want to do is maybe go over these resume comparisons, and then we'll close and you can offer your final lessons. We're right at the bottom of the hour. Can you maybe do another 5 to 10 minutes?
Sure, I absolutely can. And then I just sent you a link to DougEllisPhoto.com, and
Okay.
it's a Santa Barbara headshots and portrait photography. Even if you're not down here in the Central Coast of California or up in the Bay Area, take a look at Doug's profile there. Click on that link. Maybe you can put it up. It's going to show you all the headshots. If I don't know, I forget, was it Purnima or one? I forget which one of you asked about should you include a picture, but you're going to see how good all these people look. He does a great job of it, and there's tons of those examples. So
I don't think anyone would complain about spending a weekend in Santa Barbara to take their LinkedIn photos.
to go do it with Doug. I'm sure you have them in San Francisco too, but
right, yeah. And if they do have a problem with that, then I don't know what to do for them.
They don't know how to have fun. They need to move somewhere else.
Yep. All right. So the final resume we have from here is Teresa. Teresa is, I'm not actually sure what Teresa does, because I saw this resume and I immediately just downloaded it. And so this is, I think, another example of being able to state outright what it is that you're capable of doing. So just reading through it, I see word processor to enter client data, call center experience, clerical work. So I think it's coming to me really quickly here that this person is a data entry / administrative assistant / basically front of office type person, lawyer office assistant and typist, front desk reception. So yeah, this is what this person does. And so I also see something here around references. And my only rule about references is that you don't put references on your resumes, more or less, because you don't give references until you're asked of them in today's world, because it's just not all that useful. And so until you get to the offer stage, a reference is not quite necessary. As far as everything else, I see Salesforce, Blogger, Gmail. I would not use etc. here. I would list all the tools you know.
What does that even mean?
Yeah. And then I would stylize PowerPoint in the right way. Right? And so some little details here and some larger details. Tell me what your verdict is, Tom.
I'm just, once again, I'm not seeing a clear objective. I don't know what you're trying to do. It starts off Pacific Women's OBGYN Medical Group, and then in tiny letters, data entry scanner. Is that what you are? Data entry scanner? Or are you market research interviewer? Or are you CSR? I get it. Albert, you're right. You surmise she's front office, and that's fine. But why? And
this actually reminds me of another resume that we saw yesterday, where we had the guy being the cowboy dancer. I don't have time to pull up that resume tonight, but it's the same idea of basically you need to be able to put your best foot forward and put your best foot out there. The prevailing lesson that I see every single time when I look at these resumes is that it's unclear who you are. And if it's clear who you are, you're selling yourself short. And if you're selling yourself short, you usually just, you're being a little too humble. And so people need to stop being humble. It's starting to piss me off. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, really, this is your life, and be proud of what you've done.
Yeah.
Right now it looks to me you're almost, you're not, declare who you are as a professional, for goodness sake. What are you? A skilled customer service representative with experience in data entry, scanning, market research, looking for full-time position at a great company where I can be a long-term fit, something like that. Why don't you start off telling people what your objective is, defining who you are as a professional. You should be able to do it in 30 seconds. That's it.
And then Teresa just commented on Facebook here saying, so currently I'm still in entry-level jobs and I'm trying to move out of it. I don't really have a proper quote unquote who I am yet.
You kind of do, based on what you've done, because you've done some good things. You just need an objective. I want you to go to the resume builder, work on it. I'll help you if you want to send me your resume. Let's come up with, obviously you're good at customer support. I mean, that's what I'm getting. So you are defined by what you've done. Customer support, front office, whatever it is, you can lead with your intent, your objective. Don't make it a mystery for someone to figure out, because I can't figure it out only until are you data entry? Are you market research? Are you CSR? Are you customer support? I just want to know who you are and what you want to be when you grow up, to use that term. So I think you can do better. Not downplaying your skills at all. Let's just put your best foot forward, like Albert says.
And the final piece I want to talk about here is Teresa included a cover letter. And so up until then, it took us about 94 minutes to get here. But I want to hear about your opinion on cover letters. Yes, no, or maybe.
Don't bother unless you're going to write something that's, interesting and thoughtful and intriguing to read. You need to write something like, I wrote a cover letter to a would-be client almost, and I told them about myself. Hey, I'm Tom Widroe. I'm a talent acquisition professional, and here's some of the work that I've done. But I live here in Buellton with my wife and my 4 kids. I have triplet 12-year-olds and a 10-year-old. We love the Central Coast, but I'm willing to work remotely on your contract. I shared things about me I thought were interesting. Some of the recruiting accomplishments that I'd had that were unique. The fact that I'm on the radio sometimes, talking about these things. If you've got something interesting to say, the worst ones, and if you pull that one up again, and I'm not trying to ridicule you, but I'm saying the worst ones are sterile because they're meaningless. Don't send it if it's just going to be, my name is Tom and I am a hardworking person who's seeking a job. Try to come up, what are a story about your life and about your professional career that's interesting, that makes someone read it and go, wow, put yourself in their shoes. You say, I'm writing to apply for the program. Well, obviously you are. Say, I'm confident that my specialized experience working administrative support. So that's not bad. Organizational attention to detail and professional makes me a qualified applicant for the job. I possess excellent skills with clerical communication database. So that's good. I like some of that. I have experience providing excellent administrative support from working at a Pacific Women's. So that's kind of interesting. I'm interested in this position because it would give me the chance to help veterans. I like that. That's so, okay. You've got in that short letter, you have some soft things in there. You gave a reason. I don't dislike this. To me, it gives a little bit of love there, a little bit of sense of who you are and why you're doing this. You can make it a little longer. You tell some more interesting things about yourself if you want, but that's not a bad cover letter, Albert.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And I know we actually didn't get to this earlier. Adam did comment in the Facebook group And so this is the final resume we'll look at tonight. This is Adam Herbal. He's the dancing cowboy that we were talking about last night. And so, yeah, we were looking at this, and I think this is another great example of a resume that is not showcasing what somebody wants to be in alignment with who they currently are, right? So Adam wants to be a recruiting coordinator. He's got these skills, but he's currently a crew member at Trader Joe's, and he's currently Adam the Dancing Cowboy, right? And so you and I were talking last night a little bit about this and mentioning how there's nothing here either in the job title, the description, that suggests that he has any recruiting background whatsoever. That said, though, however, he could be somebody who's recruiting people to work for him at Trader Joe's. He could be recruiting other dancers to be dancing cowboys alongside him. And so I know you're laughing about it, but what are your thoughts?
I don't know. If you scroll to the top again,
yeah,
let's take a look. I don't know if you're a recruiting coordinator. Is that your objective? Because it doesn't look like you are. It says you're excellent spoken and written, and then you include Slack, which that's communication, Jira, G Suite. Those are what you find. Recruiting, marketed open positions, reviewed resumes, and interviews and structure. So that is recruiting. CRM applications, moves clients step by step to ensure a smooth sales. So it's a little training, experienced leader of group classes and one-on-one training sessions, engage and connect with show attendees. I'm just not sure how all this says recruiting coordinator. Is that what you're going for? Is that what you are? I don't know. I'm not sure what you even want to do. I'm not bagging on your experience or your hard work. I just think you have a mission here, which is to define yourself in a narrative that makes sense. Marketing consultant, that's not recruiting, and you're doing that at our jams. At Trader Joe's, you're a crew member. That's great. You're working at Trader Joe's. So awesome. I love that place, and all the people there are really good. How does this specifically go with recruiting? I'm just not positive.
Agreed. Wonderful. So with that said, I'm actually going to go ahead and close this. And I think the final thing I want to show are the comparisons between, oh, wait a minute. There's one more resume here. So, wow. Okay. I guess they keep coming up. I know we're coming up at the end of the time. I've got the time.
Yeah. I have the time if people are still there.
So I think this is the last one we have. I don't see. Oh, okay. This is the last resume that I have before I show the example resume of what you can do with Novo Resume. So the final resume I have is from Emmanuel Lopez Romero. He's local, it seems like, from Santa Barbara Community College. And so I'm not quite sure what he's doing, what he's looking for here. He's simply seeking a job. And he did some room keeping in summer of 2019. He's a volunteer assistant at Unity Shop in Santa Barbara in summer of 2017, completing 74 hours of community service, and his interests include working out, yard maintenance, and software. So this isn't a typical resume that we would get in this group, but you know what? I help everyone and anyone. And so I'm not quite sure what this person is seeking. It seems like they're just seeking a job because they need a job, which, is okay in my world. What are your thoughts?
100% right. It is okay. And sometimes you notice this, Emmanuel's bilingual. Maybe English isn't his first language, and that's fine. Yeah. That's why maybe he's not particularly verbose in his resume, which, like I said, brevity can be the soul of wit. This is somebody looks like you're right. He's just seeking a job. I don't really know what exactly Emmanuel wants to do and where he fits. I do some blue collar, recruiting, some staffing. I work with a partner of mine. We just hired a furniture installer, a really neat guy who's married and has a baby and was looking for a good company. And we found him. I had found their controller, and then they just said, "Hey, we really appreciate what you did. Can you find us this?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And just found someone trustworthy and capable who had some relevant experience. I think I'd spend time with Emmanuel if I could on the phone and just figure out, what does he want to do? Are you a handyman? Are you, where are you at in this? Because he needs he needs a little help, and he needs to get somewhere where he's been. I'd probably redo his resume for him. I'd really consult with him and volunteer my time to try to flesh this out. If he were, if Emmanuel, that's what you want to do, we'll sit down and try to, a lot of times the people who are applying, hiring blue collar jobs, they're not going to have as big of a requirement on your resume. So, but they still want to know what you've done.
Wonderful.
Go ahead.
Wonderful. All right. So this is the final resume of the night. This is your client, Bo Van Daren. And so I wanted to just kind of bring this resume up as the final resume before we get to the last couple minutes here. And so this is initial resume, the one that you see in Microsoft Word, lots of words, lots of things here, very accounting based, very heavy, clearly qualified, but you would never know based on looking at it. And he's even showing that he graduated in 1973 and then got his JD in 1976. And so very qualified, very good at what he does, but unfortunately, you're really not going to know. And especially the fact that he's got job experience all the way back to 1976, right? That's when Jimmy Carter was president.
That's right.
Yeah, and so and this is before Touche Ross and Company became Deloitte and Touche. So
right,
you're definitely dating yourself in a little ways if you know that. So let's look at the new resume here, right? This went through Novo Resume. I went ahead and cleared some things out. And so, it's very clear what he is: a CPA, attorney, strategic financial planning, high net worth clients. So if I wanted to save some money on my taxes, this is really good to look through. CPA right now, and everything going back the last 15 years versus the last 40. Yeah, I like this resume a lot. And so tell me what you think.
Well, if you scroll to the top, so this was a candidate of mine, and he came to me a few years ago, and he sent me that resume that you see. The other one was 4 pages at one point, and then I said, "You need to fix this," and he went and he went back and sent me this, and I still said, "Okay, this isn't good." And I had my assistant Kathleen at the time work with Bo, and because he was really resistant to it, he said, "Oh, that's fine. I need to tell everybody what I've done since 1976." And I said, "Bo, you don't. You work for a really good firm up in the Seattle area. You're successful. You don't. Trust me. This is what I do for a living." And we came up with the Novo resume, and that's when I finally started insisting that my candidates do this. So anyone that comes through the Widroe Group, almost anyone has to go through Novo or some other resume builder before we'll work with them. And look at the objective. I'm a senior level CPA, as well as a regional law firm partner with deep expertise in tax, communication, and business finance. I'm looking to bring my extensive knowledge and experience in tax, finance, and consulting to an established firm in Santa Barbara to identify and grow new business opportunities. That is so awesome. If all the resumes tonight had a sentence like that, look, he says senior CPA, senior finance executive. Come on, folks. Don't make it a mystery. If you take anything away from tonight, look at what Bo did. Look what we did with Bo, and we defined him and what his objective is. You go ahead and, if you're going to look at this over again, come up with that yourself. Go to Novo Resume, go to one of these resume builders and create it, identify, because in this, it says who he is, and it says his objective, and it's pretty darn clear. And that worked. We got him a job. Before he wasn't getting anything, and we got him a great gig. So
here's Novo Resume again on the screen, novoresume.com. And if you want to reach out to Tom Widroe, it's tomwidroe@icloud.com, part of the Widroe Group. So we're here at the very end of it. Thank you for staying like another 15 minutes over. So I'm going to go ahead and stick your email again in the chat here.
And they can go to my LinkedIn profile. My phone number is on there as well. You can text me, you can call me if that's something you want to do. I'm pretty accessible. However I can do whatever I can do to help. So
yep, wonderful. All right, cool. So with that said, you've looked over 12, 13 resumes tonight. What are your top 3 takeaways for what you see and what can be done better?
Well, thanks, Sabrina. Says we're great. And Aiko, thank you. Some nice people out there. I guess my takeaway is that, first off, I'm super proud of all this group of people who are willing to kind of put themselves out there and take a little criticism. That's actually a sign of maturity in the professional, it's just in life. So that my first takeaway is that you've got an Albert's list in your world, Albert. You have some people who have a little courage and fortitude to put themselves out there. And the next time we do this, I hope you'll tell more people, because I mean, we're happy to do it. The second thing I take away is that I think all of you need to define yourselves better and more clearly. Almost every one of you could define your objective, who you are as a professional. Who are you? That's critical. And the third thing I take away is most of you could benefit from a better design element. You could jump into any of those 10. Look at that article that Albert linked to. It's got 10 different ones, resume.com. There's a whole bunch of them, Novo. Go ahead and trust me on that. You're not going to regret it, and it's going to discipline you to do what it is that I said. Those are my takeaways. What are your takeaways, Albert?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit of design, being able to format your resume in a way that's aesthetically pleasing and readable. Number two would be to showcase your potential, because I see a lot of people who are hiding behind a lot of words, hiding behind a lot of paragraphs, and can most certainly show up bigger and really show us who they really are. And then I would say that the third piece is to simplify, right? So not only do you need to show up big, but you need to do it in a way that everyday people like you and I understand. Whether you graduated college, whether you graduated high school in 1987 or have a PhD in chemical engineering, so it works both ways. And so, yeah, with those final insights, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. And for those of you who have been on the line here, both on Facebook Live and here for the last hour 45, thank you for investing some of your Thursday night into your career. And I definitely want to do this again. Tom, come back anytime, and we'll look at another 30 resumes if we will. If you enjoyed this event, we got a bunch coming up that you can also RSVP for. On Monday, we're going to be hosting our next mock interview with Corey Hiramoto. This one will be focused on project and product management. On the 28th, we're bringing back Grania Callan, an employment lawyer. We're going to be talking about legal considerations in regards to returning to work and the labor-based propositions on the ballot, including 16 and 22. And finally, we're going to bring back Nader Molayi, our speaker from yesterday, on November 17th to help you prepare for your year ahead with Job Hunt Like a Pro. Create your 2021 success blueprint. So you know what? We're less than 75 days away from 2021. And if you want a successful year, start now. So tickets for all these events are now on sale at our Eventbrite page. We definitely look forward to seeing you there. And finally, anything that you need is in our community. And in the week ahead, we look forward to your success stories, job postings, and advice to help drive your success. If you're watching this, post your resume up in the group for everyone to take a look at. Tag Tom to take a look, and we'll see you all then. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again in a couple of days. Bye-bye, everybody.